Hey everybody out there, this is Seto Kaiba from your Yu-Gi-Oh! Chat channel. And today guys, we're going to talk about what I personally feel like are going to be the best decks going into the new format in January 2014. What could possibly be the new top tier decks of 2014. And there's a couple of things I want you to keep in mind before you start watching this video. Those things are, guys, that there's a whole bunch of good decks out there in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Nowadays. And I'm going to miss a couple of those decks when I'm talking on this, about these decks I have on this list right now. There are these decks are in no particular order. We're just going to talk about each individual deck. There are going to be decks I forget because there's a whole bunch of good decks out there, like I said. And we're also going to be talking about what could possibly be the number one deck of this format, guys. And you have to keep in mind, guys, that what makes a deck number one, there's a whole bunch of things that go into it, but it's more of a popularity contest, bandwagoning, what people consider to be the number one deck, what a majority of the, I guess you could say, Yu-Gi-Oh! Community anoints, I guess that's the perfect word for it, anoints as the number one deck. It may not be the best deck, but they anoint it as the best deck, just like they anoint the anti-meta deck of the format or something of that nature. So we're gonna get started, guys. This video is probably gonna take a while to do, and please forgive me for how long it is. Also forgive me if I do not mention your deck. But let's get started, guys, on this video. So first off, I want to mention a whole bunch of other good decks that are out there in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Gadgets, Hunders, Blue Eyes decks, Dark World decks, Six Samurais, Chaos Dragons, Harpies, Quasar decks, Agents, Heroes, Cyber Dragons with the new Cyber Dragon support, Plants with the new Plant support, Gladiator Beast, there's just Black Wings too. There's just so many good decks out there in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Guys, but we're going to mostly focus on, guys, today, what decks are getting new support. What decks are getting new support and decks from last format. Good decks from last format, what could they possibly do this format? You also have to keep that in mind, guys, when you're watching this video. So decks that are getting new support is what we're going to mostly be talking about. So first off, let's talk about a deck that is getting a lot of support come 2014. Boojums. Boojums, I think, are going to possibly be the best deck of 2014. I know that's a stretch, but look at all the support they're getting in Primal Origins and the support they're getting even going into next format. So for the next two formats, we're going to have to deal with Boojums, okay, no matter what. And I've played against Boojums enough that they're starting to become annoying. When the Archetype first came out, I actually liked the Archetype, but it's becoming more and more of an annoying deck. You protect your motto, and you protect your motto, you protect your motto. You literally have 3 Kalutes and Crane, you have Turtle, you have Centipede, you have Hare now, and then you have all these other good cards they're getting later on in 2014. The deck is really good. They literally have 4 Honest in the deck, like I said, 4 Kalute, because they have Honest, because they're lights. They have the 3 Cranes, so there's 4 monsters right there. And the deck's really annoying, it's very good. Then they got 3 Tinkies now, so the deck's even better. I think this deck is being set up to be the number one deck of the format, possibly the best deck of 2014. It's going to be getting the support right as we start to go into major tournament season when we have Worlds and when we start to having Nationals and Worlds and stuff like that. This deck is going to be having that great new support come next format, but even this format, the deck's going to be good. It's starting to already top. It's starting to already become a good deck. It's going to continue to become a good deck as time goes on. And people, I think, are going to start hopping on that bandwagon as this deck proceeds forward into 2014. Gravekeepers. Now, depending what the setup is for the format, I think Gravekeepers could be the anti-meta deck of the format. Just like Ophion was, was good against E-Dragons. Gravekeepers have always been a good deck in general because they shut down the second hand. And with the new Gravekeeper support, they can even do that more. They can do that even better than they could ever do before. I've been playing around with the deck. I mean, Gravekeepers are my favorite deck, guys. You have to remember that they are my favorite deck. But I think they're going to become more of an anti-meta deck as time goes on. They're going to be good format to format to format, but this format, I think they have the light to they have a time to shine. They can shine again, because a lot of decks I can see this format are going to be graveyard oriented. They're gonna be using their second hand. Maybe not as much as dragons were, but they're going to be using their second hand, and Gravekeepers can shut those type of decks down. It's a cheap deck. It's a good deck. It's a very effective anti-meta deck with the new support coming out. It's going to be even a better deck. So I think this deck is going to be good this format, and going into next format and the future formats. It's just going to be a good anti-meta deck, I think, in Yu-Gi-Oh! So next up, let's talk about Ghost Tricks, guys. And I actually personally play Ghost Tricks. I also play Gravekeepers too, but I actually play both decks in real life, Gravekeepers and Ghost Tricks. But I know some people out there have been saying, well, Ghost Tricks are going to be number one, the best deck of the format. I don't know if they're going to be the best deck of the format, but they are a very good deck overall. I kind of consider them, I mean, they can attack directly with big little monsters that adds up, accumulates to a lot of damage over some short periods of time. And the deck's very good. I kind of consider it a new Watt. You know what Watts are, like Watt Dragon, Thunder Seahorse and all that. I think it's a new type of Watt type deck because it attacks directly. But it can use a lot of obsolete cards like cards of Concealing Light, Needle Sealing, and stuff like that to its advantage. And it can use those cards very, very well. I think with the new support with Ghost Trick Mary and all that other stuff they're getting, they're going to be a good deck. I think they're going to be a good deck overall. They're a very good, well-rounded deck. They got a lot of support, so you can build a whole bunch of different type of builds out of the deck. But the deck overall is very good and very consistent, and it's a very fun deck to play. And I wouldn't be surprised, like Boojums, like Gravekeepers, and like Ghost Tricks too, that this deck will top eventually this format. Now let's talk about Noble Knights, guys. And I have to say, first off, since Noble Knights came out as a a card, an archetype, I guess you could say, or a card even, when Noble Knights were originally introduced to the TCG way back when as a promo card. I actually like the archetype, and I've always liked it since then. Even before they got all this new support, I always wanted to build the deck, but I was just like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I want to build it right now. There were so many other decks I wanted to build. The reason I wanted to build it because it reminds me of, it's the night based off the Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur, all that stuff, Camelot, all that cool stuff, history, stuff like that. It's just so cool. It's one of the reasons, like, kind of why I built like a Nordic deck back in the day when Nordics first came out. I just like it. It's cool. It looks awesome. And I have to admit, too, really, from an artistic standpoint, it's some of the best, artwork I've ever seen in Yu-Gi-Oh cards have come out of, Noble Knight cards. They just look so cool. They look so real-like. And I think they really did a good job when they, the artist for Konami did a very good job when they made these monsters for Noble Knights and all the cards for Noble Knights, because they look really cool looking. And I've always liked the story of Noble Knights. I just think they're a cool archetype. But from a playing standpoint, they're a very good deck. When they get their King Knight out, the one that can't be destroyed really that easily, it's very annoying to deal with. Granted, Yamato can come out quicker than he can, the King Knight, the one that can't be destroyed, but still, it's very consistent, it's very good, and it's very annoying to deal with. Granted, as of right now, I do not know what the new Noble Knight support is going to be completely, all the new support for Primal Origins. But I think overall this deck is going to be good for the format. I think it's going to be a good deck going forward. I also believe that it's just going to be a fun deck to play with. I'm actually playing with it online because I just think it's a cool deck. But I'm rooting for this deck, and I just think it's going to be a good deck overall. Very annoying to deal with when you get the King Knight out. Very good. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can build Noble Knights, and they're just a very fun deck to play overall, guys. Now I want to talk about one deck that probably nobody out there has heard of except for a few people. And first off, I have to give a shout out to my fellow Yu-Gi Tubing friend, SS Jason 19. He opened my eyes to this deck. I actually played the deck in real life, but I really didn't know how to use the new support to its maximum, per se. And once I saw him use it, I was like, okay, let's build this deck. Let's take it out of the, let's revamp it up with the new support and stuff like that. And this deck is just so good. I think it's a very underrated deck. It's very cheap. Heraldic Beast. That is what I'm talking about. Heraldic Beast. Not Heraldics, but Heraldic Beasts. Now, Heraldic Beasts are very good. They spam level 4s. They abuse the second hand. Problem with the deck is Gravekeepers can shut this deck down. But the deck is so good. With the new card they have, the new Exceed card called Noble Coat of Arms. I think it's number 17, Heraldic Beast Coat of Arms. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing that name correctly. But you can Solemn Warning this card. You can Fiendish Chain this card, and it's still going to get its effect as long as it hits the graveyard. And that can set up plays, continuous plays about abusing the second hand. The deck is fast. The deck is consistent as anything else, and it's just a very good, well-rounded deck. It kind of reminds me of Battling Boxers being a cheap, good deck. Battling Boxers are a cheap, good deck. Heraldic Beast are a very good, cheap, good deck, I think. And I wouldn't be surprised if this deck actually topped an event and people were surprised about it, because the deck is that good and consistent if built properly. Heraldic Beast, people, is my black horse for this format. Now let's talk about Light Swarms and all the new Light Swarm support, guys. Now, I don't know exactly when the new Light Swarm support is supposed to be released here in the TCG. I don't even know if it's going to be this format. I've looked into information trying to find out when the new Gear support is and the new Light Swarm support is coming out. But I don't know when it's coming out to the TCG exactly. But still, a lot of people I personally know are picking up Light Swarm stuff because of this, the hype of Light Swarms. So don't be surprised if Light Swarms atop an event or something of that deck. JD at 3 is crazy. JD nukes the field. Priority is gone, but still, JD is an annoying card. Light Swarms are an annoying card to deal with. Milling, thank gosh 6 Cents got banned. Otherwise, that'd been a whole... That'd been crazy with Light Swarms, believe me, because they can plus either way, but still, Light Swarms are good. With the new support, they're going to be even better, I think, with the new, stuff like that, but I don't know exactly when that new support's coming out, so maybe it won't affect this format, but it will affect next format. But I believe that they will release the new support this format. Just depends when it comes out, guys, how much it will affect this 2014 meta. Now let's talk about two decks, guys, because I'm just going to talk about these two decks together. That is Murmurs and Gear Armor and Gear Karakuri. So let's talk about Murmurs first off. Murmurs were good this time last year. They're still a very good deck. A lot of people are thinking that this deck is going to step it up and be the #1 deck of the format. Now, granted, they did lose one title. They got hit indirectly. But I still think the deck is good. It's still a very good deck to face, and I believe that it will top events in 2014, just like it did in 2013 and late 2012. It's going to be a good deck, this format. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know how popular it still is as a deck. If it topped again, if it topped at a major event again, I wouldn't be surprised if it got a lot of bandwagon hype because of that and people start picking up the deck again. Now onto Gear Armor, Gear Karakuri. Gear Armor with their new card, I think it's called Ogre or Driller. It's the drill. It's amazing. But Gear overall, as of right now, are just such a good deck. I'm not talking about because they topped the last YCS. I'm just saying they've always been an annoying deck to deal with. Either Gear Karakuri, Gear Armor. They're just such a fast, spammy type deck. They're just good overall. And they're very cheap to build. And with the new support, they're going to be even better. Granted, I don't know when that new support is coming out exactly, just like Light Swarms. But they're a very good deck, either Gear Karakuri, Gear Armor. And with this format shaping up to be a slower format than before, this deck is so fast that it could be it could step it up and be the #1 deck of the format. But yeah, guys, I think this deck is going to be good. It's fast, but the problem is with this deck, it falls to max C very hard. Gear Karakuri especially, when they synchro up. So let's talk about two other decks, guys, as one, because these two decks are very similar. Fire Kings and Fire Fists. Both of these decks got affected in one way, and that one way is, Tinky went back to 3. Tinky went back to 3. It affects Fire Kings and Fire Fist because both of them run, Beast Warriors. Fire Kings like Yaksha and Barong and Wolfbark. Fire Fist because most of the monsters are Beast Warrior. But Tinky going back to 3 helps both decks. Fire King Avatar Garunix, Fire Kings in general, you start seeing topping more towards the end of this format. I think this deck is going to be still a good deck. I don't know if it's going to top major events, but I think it's just a good deck in general. And just Tinky itself going back to 3, it's literally a Rhoda with a built-in effect of you get 100 attack point boost. That's pretty dang good. Tinky going back to 3 shot Wolfbark up to like $45 again. Thank gosh I brought my Wolfbarks back when they were like $20 a piece or $15 a piece. When they were cheap. I'm happy I brought them then and I didn't wait till now because they've shot up back in price. But I think Fire Fist, they've been around for over a year now. Fire Fist and Fire Kings, you guys have to remember, have been around for over a year now, and they're going to continue to be a good deck. Even with Tinky back at 3, they're good again, and I think they're going to be a good deck going into 2014 too. So Fire Kings and Fire Fist are both going to be good decks. Tinky going back to 3 helps both decks. They're already a good deck to begin with, and heck, I've seen that Fire King stun deck that guy ran. That's ridiculous. Can you imagine with 3 Tinkies in that deck? That'd be crazy. Next up, guys, let's just talk about zombies. Now, there's a whole bunch of different zombie things out there. You have vampires, which vampires could be good, depending upon what new support they get. Zombie synchros, they're going to be good. They got all their new support, but they got all their old support back that they had back in 2007 and 2008 when they were at the prime and zombies were running rampant through Yu-Gi-Oh. That was a long time ago. I can't believe it. That's the same time Blackwings were amazing. But zombies are going to be good again, I think. Zombie synchros are going to be good again. They're still a good deck. They've never gone away, but they're very easy to defeat in a way too. But zombies, I think, guys, are going to be a good deck again. It doesn't matter what type of zombie deck. Vampires, zombies in general. Because Mizuki's back at 3, Plague Spreader's back at 3. They're just good in general, guys. They've always been good in general, but they're better now. Now, let's talk about one deck that people keep overlooking format to format to format. And I don't know why people do. Possibly it's because the deck's a little bit expensive. I don't know. But Tiramisu and Madolches, it's just ridiculous. I play the deck personally, and the deck's amazing. I play Madolches personally for the last 2 formats, guys. Since like March of last year, I've been playing it. I've just been tweaking it consistently, and I haven't done a deck profile yet, but I'll be doing for a deck profile of it soon for you guys. But I play Madolches personally. It's an amazing deck, and with Angeli coming out, and who knows what other Madolche support, the deck's going to even be better. You can get Hoot Cake now easier. Madolche Taramasu's already a pain in the butt to deal with, and they have 3 Stratos in the deck that you can reuse if they get destroyed by battle or by card effect. It's ridiculous how good this deck is and how consistently good it is. No matter if I think the best build though I have run across thus far is TG Madolches. TG Madolches are very good, I think. There's a whole bunch of different Madolche builds out there, but I find the best build personally is TG Madolches. That's what I find is the best build, but any Madolche build has been good. The deck is just so good, and I think the reason why it doesn't top more events is because it's a numbers game. It's getting hyped up right now because of Angeli, but I don't know how it's going to, how much hype it's going to have when the set actually comes out. Granted, I will buy Angeli's when that card comes out, but I really don't know how super de-duper amazingly broken this deck is going to beat this format. I said that wrong. I know the deck's going to be good this format, I just don't know how many people are going to play it. It's going to top an event probably, like it did last format or 2, but it doesn't have the numbers to consistently top and be considered the number 1 deck. It's a good deck, it may, stuff like that, but it's numbers. People won't play it enough for it to consistently top. Evo Swarms, guys. Now we're going to talk about decks that were good last format and what they could do this format. Now, Evo Swarms as a level 4 spam XYZ deck, I could see that being very good this format. But with dragons kind of being dead, I don't know how viable Ophion is. But Ophion in general is just so good because he shuts down synchro decks and just big, high level summon tribute decks like Frog Monarchs and stuff like that. So, overall, the deck is still good. It's all in one piece, but I don't know, how good it's going to be going to 2014. I think people are going to play it when the format starts, but they're going to see there's other better decks out there, and they're going to pick up those decks and put Ophion down. Not play with the deck. Granted, I think if people played it more as a level 4 spam deck, it would be good with an Ophion attached to it. I think it could be more viable. But we'll have to see what Ophion does in 2014. It depends on what the format shapes up to be, really. Next up, guys, we're going to talk about Spellbooks. And now, Spellbooks overall are still a good deck. I think they're going to be a tier 2 deck. They still can reuse their fate, but not as much as they can't abuse it super badly like they used to do before. You have one fate, you have to use it, though you can, I guess, recycle it in some way. But Spellbooks are still going to be a good deck. They're going to top here and there, but I think there are better decks out there going into 2014, guys, overall. I think they're still going to be a good deck. They're going to top here and there because they are a good deck. And they're getting cheaper as time goes on, but we'll just have to see what happens with Spellbooks. I think they're still going to be a good deck, though, guys, overall. So, guys, in conclusion, I feel that there are going to be a lot of good decks going into 2014. But I know there are some decks I definitely forgot, like Cyber Dragons and some other decks out there. But there's just so many good decks out there in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Now that I really can't say what deck is going to be number one. And I'll just apologize at the end of this video, guys. I'm so sorry that this video went over 21 minutes. I know it's a long video, and thank you for sticking through it if you watch this entire thing, and thank you for your time. But till next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and I think 2014, guys, is going to be a very interesting year in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's going to be a lot different. I think I can see some older decks coming back, guys, but here's hoping that 2014, the new format, is very good for us. Take care, everybody. Till next time. Seto Kaiba, I'm out of here, guys.